All right, guys, how are we going today? My name is Luke, and I'm going to be your tutorial demonstrator for this semester. Let me know if you're having any audio issues. Let me know if it sounds good. I'm just going to keep admitting people from the waiting room. Make sure we can all. Thank you, Yara. Sound is great. Let's see what we got here. So today, pretty chill. Pretty chill tutorial. We're just going to be looking at the digital media presentation. So I've got some slides to show you, got some sort of video examples to show you. You would have seen some emails already from, I know definitely George Kalatsis would have been sending you some emails, maybe also Taryn Chalmers about this digital media presentation. And I'm basically just going to explain everything that it's about and just give you a sort of initial introduction about how this whole thing is going to go. Because obviously you've probably been overwhelmed with information already. Right, so let's share screen. This. And we just want. Just want me. All right, let's start with this first. So this is your neurophysiology tutorial manual, which you should all have been sent. It's also available in your screen sharing is pause, resume share. Hopefully that should still be sharing, yeah. So you can access this tutorial manual on your Blackboard through the neuroscience subject. And basically, just to explain what it is, normally this would be your lab manual that you receive at the start of the semester. And it is purely optional this semester. So you don't need to print this off. If you have, it's really good. And I'll explain a little bit why that's really good. But basically, the slides that I have created have all the necessary information from these. So you don't need to print this off if you don't want to, but it will be really helpful. So this is your, I guess, timetable for the semester. So you should have already had your online tutorial at 2 o'clock. You're going to have that every week on Thursdays, and then straight afterwards, you'll come with me for the hour. So from 3 till 4. That's going to happen every week. The lectures are all recorded. My tutorials are all going to be recorded. And I think they'll usually go up the evening when we record them. So don't worry if you have to work or if you have family commitments or anything like that. Please make sure that you're, if you had to cancel a shift to get here today, don't do that again, because obviously we want you guys to be prioritizing things like that at a time like this. Want to make sure everyone is getting admitted. I think we're okay. Okay, yeah, so this week, going through the digital media presentation. Next week, we'll be starting to get into the content. We're going to have 8 weeks of content up until October 8th.
Sorry, Luke, are you changing the slides? Because it's still stuck on the PowerPoint for me. I don't know if it is for anyone else.
Oh, let me, I think it is. I'm just on the neurophysiology tutorial manual right now. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, so it's screen sharing this. I wanted to share this. Right, there we go. Sorry, guys. This is your neurophysiology tutorial manual, and this is your timetable. So yeah, get this through UTS Blackboard. This week we're going through the digital media presentation, and yeah, this is basically it. So you can have a look through this entire manual if you want. It's not really necessary. I'm going to go through basically all of this. It's all covered through the tutorial slides. A lot of it is sort of revision, so it's going to be stuff that you've already like covered in the lectures. So a lot of it is revision, but a lot of it is new content and as well, and it is examinable. So I guess if you have already printed this off or you intend on it, one of the, I guess, advantages of that is that if you can see page 11 here, I've got up, you've got all kinds of questions. You've got all kinds of questions, and the lab manual provides a space for you to write those out. So if you're the kind of person who prefers to just take notes off lecture slides, that's fine, that's great. But if you're someone who wants to know what sort of the question is related to the answers I'm providing, then you might want the lab manual because it saves you from having to write out the questions each time. It's totally up to you guys. It's there for you if you want it. All right, that's pretty much all I really want to say about the lab manual. As I mentioned, yeah, everything's going to be recorded, so don't worry too much about not showing up. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here each week from Thursdays at 3 o'clock, even if there's only 10, 20 people here in the room, doesn't matter. Obviously, I encourage as many of you as possible to show up. You will find it more engaging to watch it live, and you will definitely get more out of it if you're asking questions and that kind of thing. So I will be keeping track of the chat room. Let's just keep it meeting people. 150 people is a good turnout. Really impressed, guys. Not expecting that every week. I'm hoping that the majority of people that aren't here are working. That would be really good. Obviously, there's a big work shortage right now. Let's resume share. And we can get on with the slideshow, I think. Hopefully you guys can see the DMP session. It says Luke Jarman. And now you should see how to ask questions. If that is not what you can see, I would love to know. More people in the waiting room. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah. I will, yeah. Be great if you could use the chat feature just instead of the, what do you call it, audio or talking. I love hearing your lovely voices. It's not that, it's just that I don't have the proper setup to be listening to people. It'd be a lot easier if I could just read your messages. Okay. Are the tutorials mandatory? No, they're not. So we're not going to do attendance for the tutorials or the lectures. It's just, if you want to do well, I encourage you to go to the lectures and the tutorials as well, but they're certainly not mandatory.
And sorry, hi Luke, it's Taryn. I'm just quickly jumping in. Hi everybody, I'm Taryn. I'm your subject administrator. I'm just popping in for 2 seconds because I forgot to let you all know, although it's not mandatory and they will be recorded and posted on UTS Online, It's a really good opportunity to ask questions during a lecture that you might not otherwise be able to ask at a later date. And the tutorials and lectures infer your exam. So it's a really good opportunity to go and listen and ask questions. And now I'm out. Bye.
Thanks, Taryn. So Taryn's helping run the subject, guys. So you'll see her running a lot of things from behind the scenes. You've probably already seen a bunch of emails from her already. She's also running a couple of the digital media presentation question and answer sessions later in the semester. So she will, yeah, you'll have an opportunity if you don't get to ask a question today, or you think of something later in the semester, you will get an opportunity later on to do that. Okay, so what's this first slide just looking at? How to ask questions. Yeah, use the chat function. You guys should all be pretty familiar with how Zoom works by now. And if you don't, this slide is just explaining how. When you're using the chat function, just make sure that you're being polite and respectful to others. I'm going to try answer as many questions as I can today. More questions. I'll keep answering the questions as we go along. Is our final exam online or on campus? I believe is online. That may be subject to change. If it's not in the subject outline, which you should be able to get from UTS Online, then it means that it might change sort of last minute. And by last minute, I mean that they will give you about a month before the exam, and they'll let you know if it's going to be, if you have to come to campus or do it online. I would say it's probably online. Last semester it was online. Are the face-to-face practicals mandatory? The anatomy pracs, I believe they are. Taryn, if you're hearing that question.
So yeah, sorry, I feel bad. I'm only just sitting in because my theatre's been delayed, so I don't have to operate for a while. So I'm just sitting in on this. I would have otherwise delivered it, but no. So nothing is mandatory. I know that sounds probably great for a lot of students, but we can't, with COVID restrictions, we can't make students come into class. But the thing is, the way I've written the anatomy exam, although all of the material is online, so I've created for you guys anatomy tutorials online. I'll release them each week, and they cover all of the content that is examinable. So as long as you cover those, you're fine. But neuroscience, it's a neuroanatomy course. So sitting in with the cadavers and getting to do dissections and looking at different parts of the brain is really the essence of the subject. And I had to fight extraordinarily hard to bring back these anatomy classes. So I really do encourage you to go. They are a wonderful resource. We've got some excellent tutors, and I really do hope you go. But nothing is mandatory. I have made sure that everything that you need to get through this subject is online. I mean, last semester we had our highest ever average mark. The average was well over a distinction. So obviously the material online works well. But the problem is I find students don't follow my little to-do list and then suddenly become really overwhelmed with the content at the end. So as long as you follow the to-do list and you keep up with the tutorials and you keep up with the lectures and hopefully you go to the anatomy classes, you will be absolutely fine.
Cool. Thanks, Taryn.
And you'll all be great, so don't worry. I know neuroscience is a really stressful subject. I've been running it for over 10 years. I know how stressful it is. I am here to support you. I will make sure you all do well. I don't want to fail anyone. I didn't fail a single person last semester. So we're in this together. Don't worry.
Awesome. Yeah, you'll find, guys, you'll find that the first couple of weeks are pretty chill, but it will, things will heat up certainly. I think next week, actually, David's giving a lecture on synaptic transmission. So that will feel like a bit of a punch in the face, but all the anatomy stuff you're gonna absolutely love. Yes. All right, let's keep going. Understand? Yes. Please do not ask specific questions to your topic. So, based on some emails I saw from George, I'm pretty sure all you guys have your topics by now, and these are just various areas of neuroscience. So some of them. What do I want to say about this? so each of you will have a specific topic, and that is what you're going to have to make a 6-minute video on. So it's not a group project. It is something that you all carry out as individuals. And today I'm just going to be mostly covering like general stuff that is going to apply, that will hopefully apply to most of you. And you might sort of struggle getting into things because you're on your own, it's not a group project, and you need more help with that. That's what the Q&A sessions are for. And you can, if you want, come back to this set of slides that we have, and maybe you find some more answers there as well. Okay, so the digital media presentation, it is a 5 to 6 minute video that you need to create based on a specific topic, and it can be, a range of different media types. So we try not to bottleneck you. We try not to restrict you at all in terms of what you can like come up with. We encourage you to be as creative as possible. So if you want to do interview style presentation where you pretend to be like a doctor describing Parkinson's disease, if you want to do role play with like a patient doctor scenario, that's all really good. If you're someone who is really good at animation and you want to have like really detailed, really good animations throughout your presentation, absolutely go for it. That would be great. The main thing that we encourage is just do what you feel is going to make it interesting, make it sort of informative. Do not animate the entire presentation, you will die. That's pretty sound advice. I do agree with that. I have definitely every year without fail, we see someone who will try to animate the entire presentation.
And just remember too, guys, there's programs that you can use like Powtoons and I think it's Utoons. There's ones that make animations super easy. So you're not actually animating from scratch, as in, you know, writing the code for the animations. There's a lot of programs that you can use to make your lives a lot easier. I don't want to put any more pressure on you than you need. So take the easy option if you've got it.
Yeah. So you'll see there are a couple of, even if you just look up what are some like easy like digital presentation sort of programs, you'll find tons. The main thing with these is that like they'll be covered in watermarks and stuff. Guys, we don't really care that much if they do have like big glaring watermarks on the presentation. So like as you're creating the presentation, it'll be fine. But then when you go to like download it, the program might tell you, you know, there's going to be a large watermark unless you pay us $50 or whatever. So we don't want you guys to be out of pocket when you're making these presentations. So just leave the watermark on there as long as it's not like really getting in the way, like really obstructing the content you're trying to deliver. We're not going to mark you down for something like that. Do we need to have our faces in the presentation, or can it be a voiceover? So you absolutely don't need to have your face in the presentation. We would really love to hear your voices though, however. So even if you're not really a confident speaker, there are ways to, I guess, mask that or overcome it. So you can, if you want, most people find it helpful to write a script and just sort of have everything in front of them. And if you are reading off a script, I can tell you this much, it is really obvious to the marker. Was it just the markers viewing it? Taryn, I'm pretty sure, does everyone get to see the digital media presentations when they get uploaded, or is it just...
So it'll just be myself. I mark most of them, and then George, who'll be helping me. But it's everyone uploads their own to their own personal YouTube channel or zips the file and sends it to me. But it's just me looking at it. So there's no peer presentation. Don't worry about being embarrassed. And I'm a very generous marker, so don't stress. You'll be fine. But yeah, there's no element of peer presentation. It's just me looking at it.
Yeah, it's great to see your faces. Like if that's what you want to go for, absolutely go for it. But it's not compulsory. But we would prefer one or the other. If your presentation doesn't have you speaking in it, it is really, really hard for the marker to engage with it. If it's like a robot voice or something like that. Yeah, it's tricky. So if it's not something you're really comfortable with, just give it your best go. And if you're using a script, just try to, I don't know, liven it up a little, loosen up, and try not to make it like too much like a monotone delivery, because the content that you guys come up with each year is really, really good. And we want you to have that, that to feel like you guys are interested in it as well. I missed a question. Can we send you questions in email during our revision time? Yeah, absolutely. Email me or Taryn anytime. Yeah, okay, so it should be, DMP should be informative and interesting and use a range of different media types. Yeah, it should use a range of different media types, doesn't have to. The more like different, like media is just like different media types is like I said, the interview style, like video could be one type. Animation styles is another. You can use pre-existing like footage. It might be someone else's YouTube video, or it might be a like stock footage of someone being pushed away in a wheelchair. And maybe you're talking about how this is like someone with Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or something. A couple of things I do want to say about if you're going to use footage that isn't yours is to really keep it short, like 30 seconds maximum. So just sort of, if you want to like put it in your video, but make sure it's going to have a really big impact, because you only have 6 minutes, guys. And if more than like 30 seconds of your 6-minute video is going to be just like a copy and paste of someone else's video that's like explaining your topic or whatever, that, you know, to us, it's like, well, a big chunk of your video is now not yours. So it's something that we don't discourage, but just be careful about using too much of someone else. Another question from Catherine: the tutorial videos that we are required to watch prior to the prac on Wednesday, yep, as part of your to-do list, should we be making notes on them? We will be asked questions based on the information in the exam.
I can probably answer this one. So they're all my tutes, but I do, just for ease for you guys, because I know how much of a pain it is writing notes, I've also transcribed each of those. So I've written out everything that I say in them. So although I like you to watch the videos because there's like, you know, anatomy images and things that go along, I do also give you the transcript. So I'm just trying to reduce the workload for you guys as much as I can. So yes, there will be transcripts. So I mean, obviously, if you want to make your own notes, go right ahead. But I do provide a transcript for each of them, so don't stress. The transcripts go up. I wait until after the anatomy classes are done, mainly because I don't want you guys just reading the transcript and then turning up to the anatomy class. But for instance, the second lot of anatomy classes run next Wednesday in week 3. So that's the anatomy of the brain, week 1 and week 2. You guys are separated. So half the group went this week, half go next week, and then I'll put them up on the Wednesday night so you'll have access to them.
Thanks, Taryn. You are the best.
It's no stress. I know what it's like.
Yeah, guys, Taryn's a student as well. So she gets it. She knows
Oh, trust me, guys. I did 10 years of postgrad study. I'm just about to graduate med school. I know exactly what it's like. I know the pressure. I'm here to help you.
Yeah. And she's always happy to talk about getting into medicine. She goes to Notre Dame, very famous over there, I'm sure.
I don't know about that.
You're not sure about that. Right. I missed a question. Just wondering if we can include one friend to do the interview who are not doing the course whatsoever. Taryn, I didn't see an issue with that. Is that fine? If they want to...
Sorry, I missed that. What was the...
If they want someone to help them do the interview.
Oh, no, that's great. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Use all your help you want.
What are the online video modules? So they are on UTS Blackboard. Taryn would have posted your like to-do list for each week. So I believe that's what she's referring to there, your online video modules that you have to look at each week. But there'll be, like, there's a to-do list for each week, right, that Taryn sends you guys. So as long as you are keeping up to date with that, you're going to be fine. When are the quizzes due? Again, Taryn's going to have the dates up for you each week. I believe you already had one this week.
Is that anatomy?
The quiz is due.
Oh yeah, so the quiz is only due for the students who actually were allocated their anatomy class this week. Half of the students are allocated for anatomy of the brain. They did it yesterday. The other half will do it next Wednesday. But the quizzes are just there so that you guys should be doing them before you attend your anatomy class. So the reason I wrote those quizzes, I mean, they're very, very easy quizzes, but as long as you've watched that video, the tutorial video that I put up and done the quiz, you'll breeze through the anatomy each week.
Reference. Okay, are we required to reference material in the digital media presentation? Yes, so you'll have a references slide that you need at the end. Hopefully you're using a lot of like journal references. Obviously we love to encourage. So those will need to be referenced in a reference slide at the end of the video. Usually people just stick it on like a PowerPoint presentation. So they'll have a slide at the end of their presentation or just a picture that says references, and then it will have, you know, hopefully like more than 10 references. 10 to 15 I think is pretty good, referencing like journal articles, medical sites, reputable ones hopefully, where you got your information from. And can we use someone else's YouTube video for the DMP? Yes, you can use like excerpts, like small amounts of another YouTube video. I'm hoping that doesn't mean like other students. Yeah, so don't use like other students' YouTube videos, but you certainly can use pre-existing footage. But just related to the references, if you are going to use another video, can you please just put it in the references slide? So just like the link, basically the YouTube link of the video that you're using, put that in your references slide. And yeah, I don't have a problem with that. That'd be fine. Do we get a grade after each quiz? It said no grade was available when I finished mine. I don't believe they are graded. Taryn, if you're still around, can you comment on whether or not?
Yeah, sure. So don't worry too much about the quizzes. They're not graded. They're just for your own learning, and you get 2.5% for each quiz just for attempting it. So don't worry if you totally bomb out and get 0. It's just so that I'm essentially just trying to give you guys marks. So you get 10% of your grade just for doing like 16 questions. So don't stress, just attempt the quizzes, and yeah, don't worry yourself at all. And they're very, very easy quizzes. If you watch those tutorial videos that I put up, they literally come straight out of there. So they're super easy. Yeah, don't worry about the grade. So with the 2.5%, I do them at the end of every week only because we have like hundreds of students, and if I have to do them all every minute that they do them, then I would be more overloaded than I am right now. So every Friday afternoon when I get home from work, I go through and allocate the 2.5%. So don't worry if they're not showing up in your grade center just yet. I promise you they will be there.
All right, another question. Does the video go through Turnitin? So it actually gets uploaded to YouTube. So you guys will be doing that, and it's on a private account. So no one else will be able to see it, just the markers. The only thing that goes through the Turnitin, I believe, is the storyboard.
No, so I've actually abolished the storyboard. It was just too much work.
Yes.
So I've totally gotten rid of that too.
Not doing it.
The only thing is, I have to say this, and this is the only downer thing I'm going to say, is I know the topics very well. My PhD was in most of the topics that we kind of have chosen, and I tend to read a lot of journal articles and things. So 2 students last year, just from my own readings, I picked up, had directly plagiarized from journal articles because I'd read the journal articles, and they then got in quite a bit of trouble that was out of my hands. So just, even though it doesn't go through Turnitin, just know that the person marking has a very good understanding of the topic. So just try and rewrite. Like, I understand it's difficult. There's only so many ways you can say something, but just, you know, do your best to paraphrase in a way that you don't feel guilty about. I always say to my students, if you feel guilty about writing or a paragraph because you think you've plagiarized, then maybe just don't do it, you know?
Sound advice. All right, is there a time frame to do each quiz, Taryn?
No, just do them before your anatomy class. So you're not going to get marked down for it. But the thing is, if you don't do them before the anatomy class, they're going to spring questions on you that were in that quiz. So I'm trying to set you guys up so you look good, you know?
Mm. I'm glad you're here to answer all the quiz questions because I didn't.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't think that I'd be able to attend today. I was supposed to be in theatre, but there's been a few query COVIDs. So we're shut down for the minute. So I am here, so I can answer any of those kinds of questions.
I had another question before and another one now about the final exam. So I was under the impression that we hadn't quite sorted that out yet. And it's just
At the moment, it is online, as it was last semester, open book, no proctoring. I'm very against proctoring. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that, but I think it's a pretty big invasion of privacy. So I won't be allowing my subject to have proctored exams. And it also means that it's open book, but the way that the way that I write the questions, you won't have time to kind of not do any study. You have to understand the content, because the questions aren't, you know, straightforward, like what is the fifth cranial nerve? You know, it'll be case-based, like a patient comes in with left-sided tongue deviation and right-sided Bell's palsy. What is the nerve that should be responsible? And you won't have time to Google that kind. I mean, you can Google. I don't care if you use Google, but what the essence is, I want you guys to actually understand the content, because otherwise you'll run out of time.
All right, let's keep moving on then, I guess. So last thing on this slide I wanted to say was your target audience for the videos is your peers. So people with a loose scientific background, but any kind of big words that, you know, you had to Google in order to, when you were doing your research, you probably also need to explain. So, yeah, a lot of like when you go into like the real neurobiology of some of these things, they toss up some really big scientific words. Make sure that you don't use them in a context that it's going to leave people confused. We want you to show that you really understand the content. So that's your target audience. And yeah, we've already mentioned a whole bunch of media formats and websites you can use. All right. So what's this slide? This slide is your digital media principles preparation quiz.
This is just extra resources. I mean,
yeah. Oh, so this one is George's video, isn't it?
Yeah, look, there's heaps of them. There's about 7 or 8 different items. You guys feel free to look at them if you want to, but it is a huge amount of overwhelming information. I just keep it on there because sometimes students like lots of information, but don't feel like you need to go through every single video and resource on here. I can provide you with essentially whatever you need when we do Q&As or emails, but it's just there in case you want a bit more information about your DMP.
Okay, on UTS Online, you will find information regarding the storyboard. Yep, all good. You are not required to, yeah, it's been scrapped. Don't worry about this slide, guys. So Tara has scrapped the storyboard. If you really wanted to, it's basically just an early draft of what your video was going to be. So 100% guys, if you want to still do the storyboard, the general idea of it is just that you just map out and even start working on a script for your video. I always encourage people to start with their script because it's almost just a way of condensing all the information you want to include in your video. And that way you can really start to break down in terms of how much time you're going to dedicate to each section. So generally, you're doing you're trying to give a presentation to your target audience, which is your peers. You want to start really broad. Start let's say you're doing Parkinson's. You want to start with something where you're introducing really maybe general statistics about Parkinson's, and that is just a really good way of drawing people in. You can hit people with some really alarming statistics, maybe medical.
And I'll just interrupt there and say I love statistics. I love epidemiology. So I encourage every single student to always start with the why I care question. So say you're doing depression, you might say 16.4% of the Australian population will suffer from depression at some point in their life. So straight away I'm like, whoa, this is hectic. Let's learn some more, So it's a really good way of providing foundation interest for me when I'm watching it, because I go, whoa, this is it affects a lot of people and I'm really interested to understand it.
Yeah. Taryn's a statistics nerd. Epidemiology
I am a statistics nerd.
But yeah, if you can find ones that she doesn't know, I guess that would also be really good. she's probably seen a lot of statistics in
I
her
would
time.
thoroughly enjoy that.
Should thoroughly enjoy that. Should be right into the video. Yeah, don't spend too long on the introduction, guys. Just, you know, you all have a really specific question to address. Some of them are really like, you want to get into the like neurobiology of your, if you're doing a disease or whatnot, or like if you're doing like cochlear implants or stuff like that, you really need to get into the mechanics, like the neurobiology of how these things works. So don't waste too much time on just statistics and talking about the actual disease. Don't waste too much time on like pathophysiology and just like the general pathology of it, because that's really just going around what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you all have a specific question. We want you to spend ideally the vast majority of the video getting to that question and addressing it. And yeah, but keep in mind that you want to start really broad. So that's why we ask you to start with like really engaging statistics, and start with, you know, a little bit of talking about the background of the disease that you're looking at, or the aspect of neuroscience that you're looking at. And then to start broad and then really start to narrow it down. And you should be ending on like a really specific conclusion, like a really definitive conclusion with your, with regards to your topic. I think for a lot of the projects that usually means like you need to come to a definitive conclusion on what the like current state of the literature is. And, you know, you guys are the ones researching this. So you're going to be able to say, you know, based on this presentation or based on my findings, like we don't really think that there's enough research in future directions of Parkinson's or whatnot, or like there's these new drugs that we should be looking at. The ones that we're looking at right now are crap. That's, yeah, we really like seeing that. It's a really nice conclusion. It shows that you have understood the topic, and it's just a great way to end your video in general. 6 minute mark is where we stop listening to content. So if you know, want to start wrapping things up at the like 5.5 minute mark, or even as early as the 5 minute mark, and really start like just do a big like summary or conclusion. Anything after 6 minutes, we're not really going to be listening to anymore. But you can have your references slide after the 6 minute mark. So that's totally fine. Couple of questions. If we have a technology to study, are we able to interview someone's perspective that uses that technology, or why they wouldn't use that technology? So if you're, yeah, so I have seen that before with like cochlear implants. So they did a mock interview where their, I think, grandmother was using their cochlear implant, and they just asked their grandmother some questions, or why they wouldn't use that technology. Yeah, absolutely. That's really good, because you're basically asking the person that uses that technology like pros and cons of using it. Like you're asking what their opinion is of it, and whether or not they can recommend it to other people. Yeah, absolutely. That would absolutely be a really good idea. It would really show that like you're getting into like the pros and cons of the cochlear implants. I know a lot of the questions will be, they'll include like discuss in the question. And that just means that you need to be like weighing pros and cons and that kind of things. What are the advantages of this technology or area of research? What are the disadvantages? And then like come to a conclusion at the end of it. Another question about the quizzes. The practical tests that are 20% on the subject online, are they marked?
Yep, so that's your prac exam. The prac exam's just based on anatomy, and it's done online, and it's happening, I can't remember the date, but it's in the subject outline. And if you guys, I'm not sure if I reiterated this enough, but I put together a subject information booklet. It's under subject information, and it's essentially got every single answer that I could think of to every question I've ever been asked. So if you have a look through that, you'll find all that information. But yes, so your practical exam's worth 20%, and it's a anatomy-based multiple choice quiz online.
Cool. Another question, where are the questions we are required to answer in the DMP? So when I say questions, I also mean just the topic. So you all should have been allocated a topic, and some of them are just kind of phrased like a question. So they'll be like, review the neurobiology of Parkinson's or whatever. That's what I mean by like what is your specific question that you're answering? you don't have like if you're just being asked to look at Alzheimer's, you don't have like more questions than that. It's just whatever the topic is. So sorry if I've confused you with talking about like what are the questions of your topic. Yes. Another question, where can we find those questions, Taryn? I was just looking at them in the subject information on UTS Online. Are you talking about the subject information booklet, Taryn?
Yeah, so there's the subject information booklet. It's a Word document, like an interactive Word document. Yep, that's it. And if you go to the table of contents, you can click all the way through it and it tells you about everything that you need to do. The only thing is ignore the storyboard because I've just taken that out because it's too much work. So we're just going to do the DMP this year, this semester. But yeah, it's got everything, who you need to email, what dates things are due, where you can find everything.
This is really good.
Yeah, so hopefully, and as we go, as I get questions from students, I try to update that subject information booklet like regularly. So any questions you guys email me that I think, oh crap, I probably didn't make that very clear, I'll keep updating the subject information booklet. So don't think if you've downloaded it, that's it. What I would suggest you do is just view it on UTS Online because I probably update it like 3 times a week.
This document?
Yep, I update it literally, like I updated it last night, I updated it the day before yesterday, just with questions that I get that I think maybe I'm not doing great at explaining.
This is really good. Yeah, guys, so absolutely have a look at this. And if it changes each week, yeah, take a look at it. This is the general outline of the DMP. It's got the why do I care part of your background that you should all be looking at. Where can we find it? So can I bring this over here? Hopefully that's still screen sharing. Under subject information, you have your subject information booklet. So it's just this top one on my screen. Click on that and it should bring you to this document. Yeah, this is really good. Future directions, conclusion. Yeah, this is exactly what we're looking for. So if you're really stuck or you just want more information on the DMP, this is a really good resource as well. It's all written down for you. Great. Let's go with the dates as well. I also have the rubric up as well. You can download this on UTS Online. So you can see it's got exactly how we allocate the marks. So 10 marks for accuracy and completion of information, 4 marks for presentation of information. That's like if you, yeah, it's about like the flow of the presentation, I guess. Excellent use of storyboard to prepare. That's not going to be part of the marking criteria anymore, so you can ignore that.
Yeah, totally ignore that.
Use of digital media presentations. So layout, font, color, graphics, and video principles to enhance the communication of the topic. So we're not going to be impressed by things that are really over the top if they're not enhancing the communication of the topic. So like it all comes down to how do you use like visual principles to enhance the communication, to really get your ideas across. That's mostly what we're looking for. Creativity, not worth a huge much, but we do look at it. So it might be if you're using a broad range of sort of digital medias, that might be something that we look at with creativity. And originality in particular. So if it's something that we haven't really seen before or that we don't see very often, you get 4 marks for creativity. 5 marks for understanding and explanation of underlying scientific principles of the topic. So that's when you start to really get into like the biology of the topics. That's where we start looking to give marks for that. And research using available resources. Yeah, your bibliography and how much research you've shown that you've done is going to be worth 5 marks as well. For a total of 30. Yeah, and that's going to be worth 30%. So every mark here is a % towards your hopefully high distinction. Cool, let's get back to this.
I think we won't show the videos only because we're running out of time. But
Yep.
what I've done, guys, is I've popped 2 previous DMPs in. There's a links in this presentation, which I can't remember if I put it online or if
I'm pretty sure I saw them online.
Yeah. So you can click on these YouTube links. It'll show you just some past examples of DMPs that we've got that both received really good marks. And the rest of the general feedback, I'm pretty sure Luke's pretty much covered everything that you need to know, as usual, because Luke's fabulous. The links might be broken. Don't stress. I will check them out. I will be home at about 7:30 and I will update them if they are broken. I do apologise. But don't worry about that. I'll put them up. But yeah, the essence is it should be fun, but it's also a really easy way to get like 30% of your grade. Not easy. It's a lot of work, but it's 30% of your grade in a subject that can be tricky. And I'm a very generous, lovely marker. So just do your best. I'm not judging people on their ability to we've had some crazy ones where people have hand-drawn, the neuroanatomy associated with MS and all this crazy stuff. Amazing. But then someone who does, a good interview video can get just as many marks. So don't feel pressured like you need to be, some IT or like arts degree student doing this amazing, visual presentation. The main thing is you've given it a really good go. You've tried to be creative and the information is there. I'm an information fiend. So if the information's there and I think you've given it a really good go, you'll get really good marks.
Cool. Yeah. Only things I'll mention on this slide are just use Australian data where possible. That would be really good. And if your topic requires recent understandings, that is literature within the last 5 to 10 years. So anything outside of that, it's not really recent and you're not really addressing the question. That's pretty much all I want to say there. Some common questions that we get. Yeah, we talked about referencing other people's videos. Yeah, that's just talking about how it used to be a group project. Yeah, so we understand that obviously it's basically making you do a lot more workload because it's no longer a group project. That's all being taken into consideration. That's why we're kind of quite generous with the marking. What referencing style you can use? Yeah, we're never really fussed, but Harvard or APA referencing style. Just make sure that's consistent in your referencing slide. Can we use New Zealand data? Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. I would just make it consistent again. If you really want to stick with all of New Zealand, then just yeah, but include Australian data too. Yeah, that makes sense. Just make it consistent, I would say. How many references do we need? No minimum number, but I would say more than 10 would be really great. As many as you feel comfortable with, that you feel like this is going to demonstrate that you've done a proper amount of research. We don't require in-text or like in-slide references, but they must be displayed when referring to journal articles or studies. Besides journal articles, what other things can we use? So like reliable online resources or websites related to that particular disease. Anything with like .gov is also going to be generally quite reputable. Government organizations or government bodies tend to use scientific statistics. They tend to get a lot of the statistics firsthand. So they tend to be quite reputable. And obviously, yeah, so we encourage peer-reviewed journal articles first. But there are other websites that you can use, particularly .gov ones. Do we lose marks for creativity if we just choose to do the video in the same format as the examples? So not necessarily, I guess, is the main answer. Creativity takes into account, yeah, the range of digital media principles that you use. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be multiple like formats. It doesn't have to be like animations mixed in with like mock interviews, mixed in with like drawing on a whiteboard. But yeah, generally, if you use the exact same animation format shown in the video, it will reflect a lack of originality. So that's the main takeaway there. How to identify copyright-free sources. So on Google, there's an advanced setting you can click on that lets you look at free to use or even commercially, or there might be another word for it, but basically it just means that you can reuse those pictures as you see fit. But it's
But even with that, guys, I'm pretty lenient on this. This is actually something that came from the school, but
Yeah.
I'm a little more lenient on it because it's like super hard to find a picture of the hippocampus that you can use commercially or something. So I think just within reason, you know, obviously don't take someone else's image as your own, but if you acknowledge it and you reference it properly, you know, you should be fine.
Okay, so the video needs to focus on the neuroscience aspect. Yes, so I did talk about this. History, financial, and social aspects of the disease or topic that you're looking at, they're not really related. They're not really relevant. Social aspects, maybe that might come up in your introduction, like your statistics. So maybe you want to say that this is the social burden that it starts having on people. That's really all I could say about those aspects. We really just want you to brief introduction on like the epidemiology, get Taryn and George excited about it, and then yeah, don't waste too much time, because at some point you're gonna have to start really getting into the biology of this. It is neuroscience. We want you to talk about neuroscience. Can we use regular websites for statistics, or do they like to be peer-reviewed or textbook sources? Yeah. Oh, great. This is what I just talked about. So .gov websites, government websites, tend to get their statistics directly from epidemiological databases. So those I can recommend using those. And if the websites are reputable and updated regularly, yeah, hopefully they will contain up-to-date information.
Sorry, I forgot to update the due date there. It's June, September. It's in the subject information booklet. Sorry, guys.
Not due in May.
Hopefully not. Or we'll be very late.
We've talked about programs you can use. Is it okay just to do a PowerPoint? Yeah, like guys, we see, I would say mostly PowerPoint ones. We see some really good ones.
Try not to do PowerPoint. I mean, I don't mind.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, no, we see mostly the PoToon or whatever. Yeah.
But PowerPoint is acceptable, but I mean, it's not super creative, and there's a lot of other ways that you can do videos. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, especially guys, it's a really good time to be able to using these online programs. They're free. We don't care about the watermarks that much, and they give you like a lot of options. Yeah, all good about the YouTube links. Taryn's gonna sort those out later. Storyboard, no storyboard, so don't worry about that question. Can we use videos from news? Yeah, we've talked about the using other people's videos. What does it mean by socioeconomic costs associated with chosen area in the comment? What is this related to?
Essentially, it's just saying I enjoy like a line or two about why I care about this condition, as I was saying before. So like, it's important to say like, this many people suffer from it. You know, it might cost cost $4 billion per year in Australia. So it's a really big burden. So let's discuss the treatments or something.
Will you be uploading this recording? Yes, absolutely. I'll be uploading that as soon as I get it from Zoom, actually. What do you mean by other people's videos? So I just talked about earlier, and this question just reiterates it. So if you're going to use like a pre-existing footage or video, don't make it too long, because you only get 6 minutes. And if you're using more than like 30 seconds of like someone else's video, like something that already exists on YouTube, then it's like, you know, how much of the video is yours then? If 30 seconds out of a 6 minute video is someone else's. So just try to be really, yeah. I don't discourage it, but just trying to be minimalistic with using other people's footage. We really encourage you to kind of focus on your own.
I think we might have to pull up Stumps there because it's 4.
Yep.
But you guys can have a look at all of these questions. And I just want to reiterate that your DMP is something that should be informative. But if you've got questions, please don't hesitate to email me. Like, I am so happy to help. And I know it can be overwhelming, but in the subject information booklet, there's a good little outline of kind of the format you should be following for your DMP. So the kind of why do I care, the neuroscience related topics, you know, future directions, discussions. So have a look at that. and have a good go, and you guys will be fine. I'm not worried. Now, I just wanted to put something to the group. I'll do this on an email as well. But would you guys, I'm not sure, some of you may have things on after this, but I was thinking for the Q&A sessions, I know it's not scheduled and you don't have to attend at all, but would you guys be interested if I did them perhaps say in 2 weeks and then again 2 weeks after that, straight after the tutorial? I know it's a long time for you, but they only have to go for 10 or 15 minutes where I can answer people's questions. But if you could just let me know in the chat if that's a good time for you guys. I don't want to put anyone under any pressure, but it just means that I get a bit of one-on-one time with you guys where I can answer questions that you might need, or I'm just really trying to help you all as much as I can, so I don't want to put anyone out.
Cool. Yeah, I think
okay, it looks like mostly yeses. Okay, and the other thing is I'll always record them. So if there's, say you can't make it, just email me the question and I'll read them out. And so make sure that I answer your questions, and then I'll make sure that session's recorded and I'll put them online so that you can rewatch them back.
Awesome. Cool. So I think we'll wrap up there. The last couple of slides here were just more just common questions. If you guys feel like we haven't answered your question, or if you come up with something later on, I would just have a flick back through these slides. Maybe there was an answer here that you missed. And Taryn will be hosting a couple more Q&A sessions throughout the semester. So she'll hit you up with the dates of those, and be sure to bring with her as many questions as you have. I'm not sure how much feedback we're allowed to give in terms of like if you guys come up with a script or that kind of thing. I would just say that, yeah.
It's just like general answers to questions. So
Yeah.
I can't like look at someone's DMP and provide feedback, but I certainly can if you've got questions like you're unsure about how to approach a certain pharmacological therapy. I can certainly help with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. All right, well, I think we are pretty good. Next week, obviously, is going to be we're just looking at anatomy, guys. So it's a pretty it's going to seem like a full-on tutorial, but it's honestly mostly going to complement stuff that you've already looked at. So you have to look at a couple of anatomy videos, I believe, and also yeah, most of next week is going to be not too bad, but mostly anatomy.
Yeah, and the tutorial's really boring next week. I'm so sorry. There's nothing I can do about that. If I could rewrite it, I wouldn't. But it's just, think of next week as like the really boring week that we get out of the way, and then we get into like schizophrenia and depression and MS and Parkinson's and all this cool stuff. So I'm very sorry about the boring anatomy orientation of next week, but I promise it's just for next week, and then we get into some really fun stuff.
Yeah. It's pretty much just an hour of this, just labeling brain stuff, and a little case study, and yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, guys, it's 5:04. Kept you long enough. Gonna let you get out of here.
Thank
Go back to
you.
your busy lives.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for showing up, guys. Really appreciate it. Don't remember, this is gonna be online later. And thanks, Taryn.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. I'm really excited for this semester. You guys will be great.
Bye.
Good luck in theatre, Taryn.
Yes, thank you. I'm still sitting outside waiting query COVID patients. So
Great.
see how we go.
Great.
Bye, guys.
See you guys. Thanks for coming. See you next week.